Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansu, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty serious show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit all notifications if you want to be notified the second we publish our content. Let me get into this topic here. So this morning, I was doing some research and I came across a pretty surprising article, and I saw it on Front Office Sports that had the following headline: NBC ready to spend $2 billion to elbow Turner out of the NBA. Now, as you guys know, we're currently in the midst of the playoffs. We just started. We're still in round one, although some teams have been eliminated, and it's being covered by ESPN and Turner Sports, inside the NBA on TNT. And you've seen guys like Shaq, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley covering the game, especially at halftime. You have people like Reggie Miller and others covering the game. So TNT has been all over the coverage of the NBA. And as a matter of fact, they've been covering these games for about 20 years now. I actually did some research this morning to understand when Charles Barkley joined the show. And Charles joined the show, I believe, in 2000. And Shaquille O'Neal, I believe, joined the show in 2011. But Ernie Johnson has been hosting the show since 1990, and Reggie Miller came on in 2008 and 2011. But then I think Reggie Miller's back, or maybe he's with ESPN, I don't remember. But I know Reggie Miller's a part of it. Of course, you have Chris Webber, who was there as well. Then they had some pretty funny segments. And it's been a staple in sports, right? It's been a staple in sports, arguably the best sports show on television, at least when it comes to basketball, making Charles Barkley probably the most notable sports media personality, although he's a former NBA Hall of Famer, top 75 guy. So we know that, right? Very big show, and people usually tune in to hear what they say. Whenever Charles Barkley and these guys have an analysis after the game, it usually makes news on other networks like ESPN and others. So to hear this story, to come across this story, I was taken aback, because if NBC is able to edge out Turner Sports, then we're not going to get that anymore. It's going to be a totally different cast and crew that's going to be covering these games moving forward. So that's the article we want to hone in on. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries: Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into this article here. It continues on to say NBC is trying to pull off a late game steal against Warner Brothers Discovery as the NBA negotiates its next media rights deal. NBC is preparing a $2.5 billion package annually to air games in an attempt to squeeze out Turner Sports, a longtime partner of the league. The news was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. The NBA's rights negotiations are ongoing with Amazon, and longtime partner Disney/ESPN is also in the mix. NBC is no stranger to the NBA. The network had the rights to games from 1990 to 2002 when Michael Jordan and the Bulls dominated the league, and the network's Round Ball Rock song has become an icon of that era. NBC Sports currently has broadcasters Noah Eagle and Mike Tirico on its roster, both whom have extensive experience calling NBA games. Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of Turner Sports and TNT, has previously paid roughly $1.2 billion per year under its current deal, making NBC's reported offer more than double WB's current deal. David, the company's notorious chief executive officer, said in 2022, "We don't need the NBA," before reversing course a year later when he said he was hopeful of being the next media rights deal, but it will probably look a little bit different. And then he says that the Journal reported that NBC's package would include regular season and playoff games with the ability to watch them on Peacock, its streaming service. Should NBC succeed, it would bring into question the future of Turner's sports talk show Inside the NBA. The quartet of Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Ernie Johnson is revered by fans for their humor and unpredictability. Just this week, Barkley made the city of Galveston, Texas, a household name of NBA fans. If the NBA does break up with Turner, WBD will still have the men's NCAA tournament right, as well as the MLB and NHL in its remaining sports arsenal. So that's what the article had to say there. This is pretty big news, and it said the article alluded to that towards the tail end of it, where it said that it's a staple, in terms of, in NBA circles and the NBA community. It's a huge show, right? It's a huge show. It's something that we all look forward to, especially towards this time in the playoffs, but also when there's some marquee matchups throughout the NBA season. Number one, I think it's a clever show. They're very witty. As the article said, they're unpredictable, but I like the authenticity that you get from that ensemble cast, right? Those group of guys, because number one, they know each other, but number two, they're not afraid to disagree with each other on television. I mean, they've had some iconic moments, and moments where you had like Shaq and Charles Barkley get into it over LeBron, talking about he needs more help. So they've had some very contentious moments, which makes it good for TV, because you know that these guys are being real. I think also you have a gem in Charles Barkley, who I believe is the best in the business, because Charles Barkley tells you exactly what he thinks. He's not beholden to any person, any group, or anything like that. And it's cost him certain relationships, like that with his former friend Michael Jordan. He's gotten into public disputes with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, because of his strong views. And I like that. So I'm trying to imagine what the sports media landscape would look like without these guys. I'm really trying to imagine it, right? But according to this news, it is something real. That $2 billion plus billion dollar offer is a real thing, and I guess we have to wait and see. I just thought that this was a pretty big piece of news that I'm sure a lot of you guys were going to be interested to hear about. Like, wait a minute, we could be possibly losing Charles Barkley and these guys, and then we're going to be returning back to NBC. But as the article said, they do have a pedigree in covering the NBA, but it's going to be pretty surprising to see if they end up getting the rights to that show, and then this would be the end of Charles Barkley and these guys. And it's interesting to see how it's going to work, because I know Charles got a no deal, so I don't know how all of those things are going to play out. But what I want to know from you guys is this. Number one, what do you think about this report? Number two, are you excited about it? Are you discouraged about it? And number three, do you think that it's time for a fresh take, some fresh air in terms of sports coverage, or you're like, no, I like what we have with these guys, let's stick with what we got going? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.